6G, Dreamcatcher TV. Why? 6G, Dreamcatcher TV.
Grid is live. Initiate light cycle battle.
Yeah, light lines when it's lit. Coming through this with the split, with the sound sparking real shit. Watch me keep it lit with this type of rhyme. I'm darkcore with the style and this raw. Coming through this groove like sound spark the truth. Hit up with this loop with the sound of dupes. Got the troops moving hard in the lines. Got them through the vibes like this and keep the signs. Yeah, watch your function, moving through the style like this. Watch this hip-hop real shit, coming through the spliff like this and keep it to riff. I'm original with the style, with the files. Got it like, yeah, one times again with this type of blend when I hit him with this pen. Ooh, style like this, I hold it true. Effects is defects, a style like this, a dyslex. Put it in this text like this to keep it order. The style when I slaughter. Coming through the lines again. Who's on the pen with this blends? Got them through the vents. Got the sound like this. I keep it live, moving through this type of try. The style, I keep it dry.
The Style Grid, a digital frontier. I tried to picture clusters of letter forms as they move through the virtual space. The graph computer. What did they look like? Ships? Motorcycles? Aeroplanes? Were they like circuits? Like freeways? I kept dreaming of the world I thought I'd never see. And then one day, I got in.
You know, coming up on the Ave in the early 80s, Chicago Avenue, West Side, it was a whole world of motion and imagination. You know, we had just moved into the neighborhood in 1980, and I was still in 7th grade. I was deep into the arts, science, and nature, always curious, you know what I mean? Always learning. I sketched like insects and nature and animals and muscle men and cars and build little contraptions and read about stars and atoms, but the streets had their own curriculum. You know, I started breakdancing on what we call the Red Brick Road. We had a crew, RJC, and we, you know, used to practice there on the north side of Chicago Avenue. It was the borderline zone, part residential, part industrial, with factories humming and homes on the other side. Right, and then the Red Brick Road was our stage. We used to go hang out, you know, dance. We used to take our linoleum down there, cardboard, etc. because it was always like, you know, vacant and not too much traffic will go through there. So after school weekends, we were out there, you know, b-boying, spinning, locking, popping, doing our thing. And then our crew was tight. So I decorated my clothes, you know, like costumes. I used to, you know, do tags and do pieces and catch graffiti and custom lettering. You know, I was doing stencils and all these types of things back then. Wheat paste, and I was doing all that stuff already back then. We weren't just dancers, you know. I was actively painting, doing, you know, canvas work and decorating gear and clothing. So then we also got into the, you know, urban exploration. We hit the freight train tracks into the viaducts, dugging through the gaps, climbing into abandoned buildings. You know, what kids do, you know, young kids at that age doing that. But just so happened, Midway Games had a manufacturing spot on the street. And they had a factory there. And this whole mall here, the mall was, this place here was a huge manufacturing facility with different buildings. Some of the buildings were really tall too, like a couple of them were like, you know, like maybe 8 stories or 8 floors. Like it was pretty tall buildings then compared to now. So we was there. Midway Games had their spot, arcade games, pinball machines. They just shipping and repairing them. We used to walk past and see stuff being, you know, I used to see the games all out. They used to have them out on the sidewalk sometimes. So we used to pass it all the time, seeing this stuff, you know. And, man, these commercial buildings, I had forgotten, became our playground. We you know, caught a few graffiti spots, quick hits, nothing too wild, but the scene was just starting to really get active. And thus, you have the style piece, right? It was like two worlds colliding, my love for science and nature and this raw expressive pulse of hip-hop, graffiti, you know, dance, b-boy, and rhythm. It all became part of my learning. The app taught me how to move, how to mark space, how to remix the city to something alive. Another intriguing aspect of the time on Tron itself. At the time, when Tron first came out, the first movie, 82, the state of computer graphics was very early, as there wasn't any type of software or operating system things, and some of the basic systems that were available were like DOS. With the invention of the graphical browser, which made imagery possible on the computer screen formally with graphical images, which was designed in Illinois. It was designed here in Illinois. The graphical browser. The browser, when you go to the internet and you see the Internet Explorer or the Opera browser or Firefox, all those are called browsers. So you can search and have a frame of reference, right, for different aspects of what you're searching and how to keep it orderly and organized. So that was invented here in Illinois. The next thing, that being relative to the recognizer, a frame of reference, the browser, the iBrowser, internet browser. All right. So the next thing, at that time era when I was coming up at that age, there weren't operating systems, there weren't personal computers as of yet. They weren't released to the public. If they were only on a short scale, and they were very expensive. They weren't like you could go out and buy a regular personal computer now for like $1,000 or so, $500 or whatever. These personal computers at that time were rather expensive, and some of them were rather bulky as well. So Windows is evident in this operating systems, 3.1, Windows 95. You know, these are principles that we were employing in our work manually. Like here are examples of scene transitions and videography, what we call videography now, of depictions of motions and movements that I was doing by hand, by, you know, conceptually drawing and creating and using cutouts and different aspects from magazines and pictures and imagery and vision boards, etc. All right, so it goes on. We'll take a look at when Windows 3.1 came up. And then secondly, another parallel was 94, when Tron Legacy was released 10 years later. It gives reference there. Windows 95 wasn't really just launching then. So the advent of computer graphics and the advent of video editing software, which utilized frames per second in frame rate, etc., in delivering product. All right, so these are the parallels. So coming up as a youth of 12 at that time, being in contact with New York, Case 2, Scene, these are all people that I was able to communicate with on the phone, and I would talk about different aspects of drawing and styles, and it was a great time. But I just wanted to share that parallel. I thought that was interesting, being that I lived in the area where these video games were developed, and the concept of being able to peruse and travel and explore through the factories of the time. We'll talk a little bit more about that in detail, but stay tuned. In light of the turbulent transformation unfolding before us, we stand at the crossroads of technology, culture, and human evolution. The world as we once knew it, structured by tangible industries and traditional frameworks, is now giving way to the intangible, a realm governed by automation, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the rise of an information economy unlike any seen before. We are witnessing the reshaping of society, a cultural reset driven not by conquest but by data, algorithms, and decentralized systems. Our fears intertwine with our hopes. Will AI liberate human creativity or render it obsolete? Can automation enhance life, or will it strip away the essence of human labor? Is cryptocurrency a revolution of financial sovereignty, or a system teetering on instability? Beyond economics and industry, we find ourselves questioning the fundamental nature of existence itself. As we delve deeper into transhumanism, bioengineering, and artificial consciousness, the boundary between human and machine begins to blur. The once distant theories of holographic reality, time travel, and quantum consciousness no longer rest in fiction. They emerge in scientific discourse, demanding exploration and reckoning. This story, this vision, stands at the heart of these transformations. It is more than a narrative. It is a reflection, a question, and a glimpse into what lies ahead. Through the lens of artistry, history, and creative evolution, we unravel the patterns that connect past civilizations with future innovation.